Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome to FIS TV. Welcome to a rather dank, overcast, and actually a bit chilly here in Willingen for this mixed team competition, which opens up a weekend of excellent ski jumping for both the men and the women. Indeed, this the last big World Cup occasion before the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. So for some, it's a real opportunity to fine-tune. For one or two others, a consolation prize. Well, Willingen, it's in the Sauerland, very much central Germany, to the east of Düsseldorf, with Kassel to the north. And it is the biggest occasion in this part of the world. Well, once again, a very good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on FIS TV. I'm David Goldstrom with the FIS team. Delighted to have your company. I have to say, it's not exactly the brightest of afternoons. Overcast, dank, -2, -3. But Willingen, of course, is a great, great hill. It is the biggest of the large hills on the whole of the World Cup circuit right across the world, with a calculation line at 130 meters and a hill record of 155.5 meters. It's very much a party place. The stadium here is enormous, can take up to 34,000 spectators. We won't see 34,000 this afternoon, sadly, but we will over the weekend, I'm sure, as we look forward to this mixed team event. There are just 9 nations involved. Italy, France, the United States, Finland, Norway, Germany, Austria, Slovenia, and Japan. And of course, Japan with their tails up after that splendid win in the Ski Flying World Team event.
I really love these conditions. -30 on the headwind, so that's where I like to be.
What are your expectations for the weekend here in Willingen?
Oh, it's hard to say. Just a good run through before the Olympics, and hopefully enjoy some headwind, because in Italy it definitely will be tailwind.
Fingers crossed, good luck. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
Well, Chris Sundal there for Norway, just identifying for us the pretty strong front wind that we have at the moment. I've actually seen gusts of 5 to 6 meters per second, and at the moment 3-4 meters per second. And this just gives you an idea of what Willingen's all about. It's a great sporting occasion, but it's a fantastic party, and that party begins right here this afternoon. This is the biggest occasion in the whole year for this part of the world, and we're all looking forward to a splendid weekend of action. Nina Lucy will have her expert eye on the women's big hill competitions here, and I'll be focusing on the men along with this afternoon's mixed team event. This is a remarkable hill, and one or two of you might remember Timmy Zeitz a couple of years ago, 2023 actually, and it was heart-stopping, breathtaking, 161.5 meters. He did actually fall, thank goodness he was okay, but it was a monster leap on this hill. This hill, after the flying hills in Planica, in Vikersund, in Kulm, in Oberstdorf, in Harrachov, this is the biggest of the large hills. And this is really nice that we have everybody together, both Nika Preutz and Domen Preutz. And just to give you an idea, Domen Preutz in the second of the training rounds just finished for the men, up to 148 meters. A real improvement on his first flight. Stefan Kraft at 147.5 meters in the second flight. Benjamin Ørsvald of Norway, keep an eye out on him, 150 and 140 meters in the two training rounds. Chris Sundal of Norway, 146 and 136 meters. Timmy Zeitz, well, we've yet to see the best of him this season, 132 and 134 meters, modest by his standards. And Halvor Granerud, the man who's had more success than any individual on the hill here, 4 victories. Halvor with 138 meters and 140 meters. So settle back and relax and enjoy this competition. It should be very interesting. The Japanese, in a sense, could be regarded as favorites. Their quartet, the legendary Sara Takanashi, together with Ren Nikaido, who's in fine form, Nozomi Maruyama and Ryoyo Kobayashi. But first of all, let's meet the Italians. They will host, of course, the Olympic Games very shortly. France with youngsters, Josephine Panier, probably an eye to keep an eye on her. The Americans need to pick me up. Their form has not been as strong as it has been in recent seasons. And here the Finns, but without Antti Aalto, which is a little bit of a disappointment. He's getting ready for the Olympic Games. Norway, this is a very, very decent quartet there. Gita Hansen, former Nordic Combined, are in the quartet. Carl Geiger, Philip Raimunds, Selina Freitag and Agnes Reich, who's been having a good season, pretty good. And then Julia Mühlbacher, Daniel Schefernik, who won both competitions here in the World Cup last season. Lisa Eder for Austria, who won her first World Cup just recently. And then Slovenia, Nika Voden, Nika Kritsna, she was, Timo Zeitz. That's a good team. Sorry we're whipping through them so quickly, but also there's a very strong quartet. Well, the atmosphere is really good, and of course everybody looking forward to the Olympic Games. Now, having given you a little heads up on the better performances from the men's training, let me bring you up to date with the women's.
With today's competition, actually, I don't have such a positive news because we are really struggling. We are struggling all day with the wind, and the wind didn't improve. We have wind up to 5-6 meters per second, so we can expect a lot of breaks due to the wind situation. Okay.
Yeah, today is the day that we need to be patient, so let's go for the safety first.
Okay, Sandro.
Well, familiar words there. Just to come to the women, Nozomi Maruyama, who's had a dynamite start to the weekend, has really come of age, lying in second place in the women's World Cup rankings to Nika Preutz, of course, 130.5 meters. Anna Ström of Norway, also 130 meters. Looking really good, Sara Takanashi at 138 meters. And Julia Mühlbacher at 136. Irene Kvandal for Norway, not in the team, but a winner here last season, 138.5 meters. And at 142 meters, moving down from gate 16 to gate 14. So really, really good performances by the women, who are absolutely delighted to be here on this big hill. The Norwegians team, Anna Ström, Johan Forfang, who is the hill record here, GER, Vestfold Hansen, and also Chris Sundal. So the hillside here at 147 meters, the calculation line at 130. And lots of smiles, lots of really good humor here. But as Borik Sedlak said, the assistant race director, he's gonna be monitoring this along with the jury very, very carefully because of the very strong front wind conditions. Christian Brendan, former Norwegian ski jumper, is the technical delegate, supported by Volkmar Hirsch, the chief of competition here in Willingen, with Matt Lowe of the United States as the assistant race director, the assistant technical director, I should say. And the crowd just swelling a little bit, which is really good. But very strong front wind conditions here. Potentially some really long flights in the prospect. 4 legs in each of the 2 rounds. The best 8 teams to go from the first round into the final round. And just 9 nations involved here. Austria with Julia Mühlbacher, Daniel Schöffenig, Lisa Ader and Stefan Kraft. That's a pretty strong quartet. As we go up there to gate 17. And it's ladies first, Annika Sieb for Italy to get us underway. There you can see that very strong front wind. And building the speed now down through the compression off the table at just under 90 kilometers. Upper red line is the calculation line at 130 meters. And Annika Sieb not far short of that. The Italians very much looking forward to the Olympic Games and welcoming the world to the hills, which of course were reconstructed in Predazzo, which will be the venue and host of the Olympic Games in Milan Cortina. And now the pathfinder for France, young Emma Chevet. Just having to take a moment here, as you can see the wind conflicting, coming in from both sides, creating a lot of turbulence in the center of the hill. And this will be very much a staccato afternoon, I think, here in Willingen. Just hoping that in the coming weekend, the weather will be a little bit more stable. This is quite tricky, and the jury quite rightly asking this young lady to take a pause, Emma Chevet. So out for the second time of asking. This 22-year-old French woman from the Club des Sports Chamonix has represented her country at the Senior World Championships in Planica, also last season in Trondheim. A little bit off balance coming off the table there, a little late as well. Ski tips up in her face, and unfortunately the meters are relatively short. And there you can see the damage. That's 19 meters short of the calculation line. 1.8 point deduction for every one of those lost meters, which means instead of 60 points, only 25.8 points for distance there for Emma. Next up, Josie Johnson, United States, 19 years of age, hails from Park City, lovely part of the world, Park City. Also represented the United States at Planica in the World Championships of 2023, and also Trondheim last season. Member of the United States team that finished 6th in the team competition. Josie yet to really make her mark, but she is a promising athlete. Top 15 finish most recently this season in Villach, 16th in Sapporo. Just giving you a little indication of some progress. 11 top 30s this season in the current campaign for Josie Johnson. And her teammates, Kevin Bickner in the team, and also Annika Belshaw looking on. The ski jumping history of Willingen dating back to 1951. That was the first hill that was built here. Big reconstruction in the year 2000. The Mühlenkopfschanze, as it's known. And once again, Josie having to be really patient here. And safety is a priority, quite clearly. The jury will not release any of these athletes until they are really confident that they have safe and fair conditions. When you start to see 5 and 6 meters per second, you know that this is really, really challenging. The good news, though, is that we have a good amount of snow, and that's good for the Olympics as well. There were some concerns about the conditions for making snow, particularly in Livigno, but the president of FIS has been taking a personal interest and has confirmed that he's really satisfied with the preparations, which is great news. And everybody really getting excited. You can see it's blustery, it's breezy, it's really tricky. And this is where you really have to take your time. Now she's coming out for the 3rd time of our skier. Here comes Josie. Out onto that wooden plank. Checks the bindings, refocuses, green light on. Fingers crossed that she gets the timing right here. Decent effort in the circumstances. That's really, really good by Josie. 131.5 meters, and she will have really enjoyed that. That is into bonus point territory, 1.5 meters beyond the calculation line. So that's more than 2.5 points worth of bonuses. Just having a look here as how she finishes it off with the telemark. Not really, that will cost her, but decent points for distance, and that's encouraging. Well done to her. 34 points worth of front wind deduction. That just gives you an idea of how hard the front wind is. Next up, the very experienced opener for Finland, Julia Kukkonen, for so many years coached by her dad. 31 years of age and just about as experienced as anybody on the hill today in the women's division. It hasn't been a particularly stellar season so far for her, yet to finish in the top 20 in the World Cup. Finland, Julia Kukkonen, Jaakko Mata, Julia Akia, and also Nico Kitosaho. Interesting to see Nico because he was in good form in the ski flying worlds. So Julia to open up the Finnish account. There's been a lot more happiness and good spirit in the Finnish camp this season, which is really encouraging. Would really be lovely to see them to come back to the sort of force that they were so many seasons ago. And there you can see that wind, which is really challenging. Just to give you an idea, that deduction of 34 points on this hill equates to virtually 19 meters. It's an enormous deduction. Julia taking a pause. A real heyday was Falun 2014 when she finished on the podium in Falun and Hinsenbach. More recently, a good result in Garmisch in 2024. That was quite encouraging, but she hasn't been in the top 10 now for the best part of 2 seasons. Her experience will have told her not to worry about this. She could actually stand up, click out of the bindings, and then rebuild the position. You don't really want to be hanging around here too long. It's not the coldest of afternoons, but it isn't that warm either, and it does get chilly. The blankets should be ready for the athletes, but you can see here the folks down in the outrun there, they're pretty well wrapped up, and it's the wind which is whipping through. There you can see the flanks on either side of the hill. This massive arena, 34,000 are legally allowed to be accommodated here. And conditions not getting any easier. After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and given the signal by coach, come out again, get ready on orange, but still held at the moment. Well, if it's going to take us this long to get through, this could be a one-round competition. Here comes Julia. Very distinctive in-run position, takes her time to settle into the tuck. And unfortunately for her, way short, barely over 100 meters. So 4 have taken their turn, and Josie Johnson with 131.5 meters, very much the early leader. But that big deduction because of the front wind means that Italy are actually quite close up. But now things could change here. Anna Ström in really good form for Norway. Norway have got a good recent record on this hill. Last year in the Women's Individual World Cup, Eirin Kvandal of Norway was the winner ahead of this young woman. And then Jacqueline Siefridsberger of Austria was third. In 2024, Norway were also successful with Silja Opseth. Really aggressive. And the wind not quite as strong as it was for the American, but still pretty strong. Not quite up to the calculation line, but the front wind deduction will be less for Anna Ström. Josie Johnson didn't get a telemark, and I think the judges are going to be pretty strict on this. Second place for Norway. United States 77.2 points, Norway 76.1. So nothing between them. And now Agnes Reich. Agnes has been really knocking on the door for a first podium just recently. And this is a great occasion on a home hill here for Agnes. "26 years of age, third in Villach, a milestone for her. That was her first ever work podium. Fourth in Zhao, fourth in Engelberg, fifth in Sapporo. It's been her best ever season. 10 times in the top 6, 15 times in the top 10. Agnes Reich hails from Izny, which is not too far away from Oberstdorf. And a progressive season for her. Her best ever, Lake Placid, a runners-up spot. That was last season. That's her personal best. So really knocking on the door in the last 2 seasons for that elusive first World Cup victory. And you sense that it really might well come pretty soon. Agnes Reich already confirmed to represent Germany in the Olympic Games, so that's a marvelous achievement from her point of view. And Germany, with a decent team, Karl Geiger, who really has been striving to recover his best form, Agnes Reich, Philipp Raimund and Selina Freitag. That's a pretty decent quartet. The fans in Oberstdorf for the Ski Flying World Championships were fantastic, and you can see the similar atmosphere here. And I promise you, it really goes on not only into the evening, but through the night here in Willingen. And there, that's always worrisome when you start to see 6-meter wind gusts there, because it really does make it impossible to release the athletes. So, a long journey ahead of us all. Hopefully you've got time to stay with us here on FIS TV. A really important weekend. And just to also mention, we'll be bringing you Intercontinental Cup action tomorrow and Continental Cup caption over the weekend from Lillehammer. The Women's Intercontinental Cup kicking off at 9:30 Central European time on the normal hill. Be delighted to have your company for that. not often that we have the chance to bring you those competitions, so it's an extra bonus here on FIS TV. And good organisation, they've got the blankets ready. And this sort of mist descending on Willingen. Philip Raymond was saying how he hoped that we could have really good weather. Well, his wishes haven't been rewarded this afternoon. Still quite a bit of chatter about the Ski Flying World Championships and the problems with Domen Preutz and his skis whizzing down the in-run. And basically confirmation from the jury's side that Domen had put his skis in a non-designated place and they'd slipped down. And that's the reason why he was not allowed to take his first flight. And you can see here there's a lot of enthusiasm and keenness for this competition, and everybody being pretty relaxed about the situation. Of course, a lot of Olympic places already decided as to who will represent their country. Norway have selected Johan Forfang, Marius Lindvik, who's shown real signs of Heidi Strasserud, who's had a really improved season. Irene Kvandal and Silja Opseth, that's a really good quartet as well. Austria, Stefan Kraft, Jan Hurl, who's not here this weekend. Stefan Ambacher also missing, Daniel Schöffenig. And on the women's side, Lisa Eder, Julia Mühlbacher, Megan Wadzek, and Lisa Hirner. So Agnes Reich, once again getting ready for this. And as I said, she's had a really solid season, not far away from that first World Cup victory. As she comes forward in her career, of course, this is the last season for Katharina Schmidt, who retires at the end of this campaign. Now, Agnes Reich, really solid position in the in-run. Well, the telemark landing on Lakovic's going to cost her, and the meters aren't there either. Well, after such a long wait, real disappointment. So Agnes misses out there. Austria up next, then Slovenia, then Japan to finish the first leg in this first round. And it's Julia Mühlbacher out here in the suit for Austrian, 21 years of age. Fourth this season in Lubno, her best result. One podium in her career, that was in Rasnov on a normal hill. Rather different to this monster hill here in Willingen. This season so far, twice in the top 6, 4 times in the top 10. Not so strong, I have to say, in recent weeks. But Julia looking forward to this. She's got team silver medals, Julia, from the Senior World Championships in Planica in 2023 and also Trondheim last season. Daniel Schiffernig, Lisa Ada looking on at their Austrian teammate. Daniel, who did the double here last year, on his way to winning the Winter World Cup. And here, this is a really good picture because it really shows you the strength of the whole team. Started her World Cup career at the end of 2020. And Julia just really focused. Things just settling, green light is on, here we go. Not bad. Well, I say not bad, actually, a reflection. That's not much further than Agnes Reich. In fact, it's only half a meter further. Nika Voden, Nika Kritzmar, as she was coming up now for Slovenia, this 25-year-old talent. Women's World Cup champion back in 2021 with a total of 3 career wins. Not prolific, but very consistent. This season, runner-up in Viessmann early in the campaign. And lots of top 10 performances, 11 top 10 finishes so far this season for this young woman. Big Hill, bronze medal in the Senior World Championships on the Big Hill in Oberstdorf in 2021. That was quite an achievement for this young lady. And of course, she's in a fantastic team. Nika Voda, Timmy Zeitz, and then Nika Preutz and Domen Preutz. Last season was a really challenging one for her. Dropped outside the top 40. I'm talking about Nika Voden. Really good to see her back to not her very best, but getting there little by little by little. Selected for the Slovenian team for the Winter Olympics. And just trying to stay calm. And hopefully won't be out there too long because the chill will start to set in, you stiffen up. At the moment, not too bad. 2024 here in Willingen, she finished in 9th place. Well, you saw the green laser line there. That tells you that she was right up there, 130 meters plus. And that's a challenge for the overall lead. Challenging Josie Johnson for the United States who had that very good opener of 131.5 meters. This is better. It's better in every regard, in distance and also the touchdown a little bit more secure. And 82.2 points puts Slovenia into the lead. 5 points, the advantage, 2.8 meters ahead of the United States. And the last lady to come in the first leg of this first round, the legendary Sara Takanashi. Sliding out now, this wonderful, wonderful athlete who's been such an inspiration to the whole of women's ski jumping, 29 years of age, and of course holds the record for the number of victories in Women's World Cup, 63 of them. Runner-up here in 2024, third here in 2023. Not so good today when it really, really mattered. And that's a big setback for the Japanese. Only 103.5 meters. And the style marks are barely going to be 15 out of 20. This is really out of character for her. And she'll have a horrible feeling because she'll sense that she's rather let the side down. But it's not over yet. So, at the end of the first leg, it is Slovenia who have the advantage. Slovenia by 2.8 meters over the United States. So to the men first leg.
Ja, das war eher der Abfahrtslauf anstatt der Weitsprung. Die Weite im ersten Durchgang für das Italien sind wir jetzt bei 94,5 Meter, 94,5 meters für
Giovanni Bresadola coming out of gate number 6 and not even 100 meters, and the Italians who've been in the doldrums, Bresadola, Francesco Ceccon and also Alex Insam, really difficult to see them finding their form. One hopes they will before the Olympics. Now, the brother, Jules Chevet for France. And that wasn't too bad at all.
Relativ gute Landung haben wir da gesehen von dem jungen Franzosen. Die Weitung, die Weite, da warten wir noch drauf. 103.
Over 120 meters, as you can see there, for Jules Chevet.
Unter anderem jetzt für das Team der USA. Kevin.
So next man up here, Kevin Bickner, 29 years of age. Kevin, 10th place in Zakopane this season, his best so far. 10th in Willingen, his best ever. Back on his heels.
Über die grüne Linie, da war rüber. Das ist klar, das haben wir gesehen. 85,8 die Anlaufgeschwindigkeit aus Skate 6. Die Weite, mal gucken, für was die ausreichend sind. Diese 111 Meter. 111 meters for Kevin Victor.
And the wind just beginning to change a little bit here, to turn a little bit more. One or two places, the front wind turning around in a backwind situation, which doesn't make life easy for the jury. And here's 31-year-old Jarkko Mata for Finland. Jarkko. A while since we've seen his best form. 2015, 2016 were his top 10 performances. In fact, 2014, 15 and 16. 2014, 9th in Innsbruck. 2015, 8th in Lahti. 2016, 8th in Oslo. Those were the best days in terms of results for Jarkko Mata. Yet in the current winter campaign to earn a Winter World Cup point. The best hopes for the Finnish boys at the moment held by Antti Aalto and Nico Kitosaho. Particularly Antti Aalto. I think top 10 at the Olympics is a real possibility for him. Julia Ikea, the next athlete for Finland on the third leg.
Es war stabil, also es war kein Problem.
Philip Raymond looking...
Also, ja, 5 Meter von vorne gehackt, aber voll stabil. Dann bist du raus, einfach nur...
Pretty positive, actually. The wind just settling a little bit. Interesting difference there, about 3 kilometers less in-run speed for the men. Front wind coming back at quite a strength. And Jarkko Mata up to the calculation line. So that's a big, big boost for the Finns. Julia Kukkonen only had 106 meters. But Jarkko there, valuable points. Puts Finland ahead of the United States and France. So Jarkko Mata to be followed now by this man, Johan Andre Forfang, hill record holder here in Willingen at 155.5 meters, somewhat shorter today. Runner up here last year, but 96.5 meters here for Forfang. That's a big setback here for the Norwegians, and these are really tricky conditions. And a little bit of luck needed here. At the moment, that leads Norway down into 5th position. And a big cheer for Carl Geiger. A winner here individually in Willingen. And that's really encouraging for Karl Geiger. The 32-year-old from Oberstdorf. Winner here in 2019 individually on this big hill. And Karl Geiger, 125 meters to put Germany into first place. Big roar. They take the lead over Finland by some 15 points or 8 meters. Really difficult to predict here what's going to happen. And now Daniel Schöffenig, the double winner for Austria here last year. This excellent 23-year-old. 10 career wins individually in the Winter World Cup. Four Hills champion, of course, last season. Really difficult to follow up after such a fantastic campaign. Schöffenig, who's had a couple of individual victories in the Winter World Cup so far, needs to bring Austria back into contention here. Daniel, who's based out of Innsbruck, winner this year in Lillehammer, that very first World Cup of the season, and then Bischofshofen. To be followed by Timmy Zeitz, and then the very excellent Japanese athlete Ren Nikaido, and the Japanese will be looking for a lot of meters from him. Schöffenig, who's made a lot of progress when you consider that he only started his World Cup senior career back in 2021, on his way. Well, more was needed. Schöffenig with less than 120 meters. Wind deduction a little less than for 1 or 2, which will help a little bit. Schöffenig yet to find the sort of consistency that earned him the overall title last season. 117 meters, 17s for style from 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 judges. And Austria second to Germany by just under 5 meters in distance. So this competition is still very, very competitive. And next to go will be Timmy Zeitz. Well, it was 2023 here when we all gasped in amazement. And Timmy Zeitz went to 161.5 meters and crashed down in the snow. Thank goodness he was okay, but it was an unbelievable flight. And it's not a hill record because he couldn't stand up, but 161.5 meters on this hill. The record officially is 155.5. And Timmy Zeitz to be followed by Ren Nikaido. This form, this 25-year-old Slovenian, 8th in Lillehammer in the first World Cup of the entire season. Still, today, his best result, numerically. Seventh in Willingen in 2024. And once again, a little more patience needed here. A wind generally, particularly over the knoll, central part of the hill is still a front wind, but the strength of the wind really, as you can see there, it drops off, so the pressure really reduces the further down the hill, so you really need to take the speed on here. Germany leading from Austria, Finland in third place at the moment, ahead of the United States. But there's only 8.5 meters separating the first four nations at the moment, so it is really competitive.
Geduld mitbringen am heutigen Nachmittag.
And Timmy inevitably asked to take a pause with the conflicting wind as it is now. Domen Prejec looking on, 148 meters in the second training run. Nika Prejec to come as well. Nozomi Maruyama, we've got some real stars in the wings waiting to take their turn. Sub 120. So Slovenia ahead of Germany, and 10-11 meters separating the top five nations, and now Ren Nikaido. So Japan languishing after the really uncharacteristic performance of Sada Takanashi in tricky conditions. Ren Nikaido, of course, team gold medalist with the Japanese in the ski flying worlds, and Ren in fine form at the moment. Ren Nikaido, third in the men's World Cup, 5 podiums, victory in Innsbruck, a bronze medal individually in the Ski Flying World Championships, the best ever season of his life, 13 top 10s, and this man could be a contender for Olympic medals. Everything has gone in the right direction. The confidence is high. Coached by Kento Sakoyama, who has really come of age in the sense that everybody was a little curious when he was given the opportunity to become head coach. 35 years of age, and as a ski jumper, there was nothing outstanding in Kento's career. 5th in the Junior World Championships back in 2008, Kento Sakoyama with the Japanese team. Hails from Nagano, and of course he'll be really aware of the fantastic performance by the Japanese team, Kazuyoshi Funaki and the team in the Winter Olympics of 1998. Incidentally, Naoki Nakamura, one of a few important absentees who is preparing for the Olympic Games, not involved in this weekend's competition, but an important member of the Japanese team. Tomofumi Naito is in the lineup for the weekend, along with Ryoyo Kobayashi. I mentioned a few moments ago the Austrians without this weekend, Jan Hurl and also Stefan Imbacher. Green lights on. 10 seconds to leave the bar to avoid disqualification. Well, that gives you an idea what this man could do. That's over 130 meters into the bonus point territory in terms of distance. Just about held the telemark together to ensure the judges were not persuaded to deduct 3 points. I think the problem there was that he couldn't actually see the coaching stand, so he didn't get the confirmation, so it was a vocal, you need to get moving. And this will help the Japanese cause a little bit. And up into third place overall, 7-8 meters off the lead. So Slovenia have the advantage from Germany. Japan in third place ahead of Austria, Finland, and then the USA and France. And here's the state of play. Italy ahead of Norway, who are in last place. So back to the ladies, and it's Martina Zanitzer for Italy, who will be next to go. Martina from Tarvisio, tucked up in the northeast corner of Italy, very close to Slovenia and Austria. Very much a center for Nordic sport and ski jumping. Made famous by Roberto Ceccon many years back, and it's this 20-year-old who will be next to go. Yet to finish in the top 20 in any Women's World Cup. Martina, who so far this season has been finishing in the sort of 23, 24, 25 position. In fact, just checking that out, 6 top 30s so far this season, but yet to finish in the top 20. So Italy at the moment down in 8th place, just clinging on to qualification for the final round. Coming out of gate number 17.
Es geht schon wieder los, aber es darf ja wohl nicht wahr sein, wenn man hier auf die Seite schaut. Die Seite.
110 meters. The wind still predominantly from the front, but it is gusty and it is turny.
Sie wahrscheinlich auch, Martina Zanitzer, die Noten im Schnitt. 15:0 ist mit dabei und die 16:0. Also das Ergebnis für die Italiener jetzt hier in der gewinnenden Gruppe. Reicht am Ende.
Next up will be France from Chaunerve. Josephine Panier, 23 years of age. Chaunerve, perhaps better known for its hosting of an excellent Nordic Combined on an annual basis. Josephine, who in 2024 had a fantastic season. Victories in Engelberg and Lillehammer, up into 7th in the overall season rankings, but since then has rather fallen away. This year, a 6th place in Japan in Zhao, the best we've seen of her so far, but when she's good, she's very good.
die Annika Belschau sehen aus den USA. Schauen wir noch auf die Weite von der Josephine, gestartet aus Gate.
Well, it's a problem for the French, losing points, and they were in 7th place in the ranking at the end of the last leg, and only 101 meters. This will really cost her. Now, Annika Belshaw, sister of Eric. And that's way short. The Americans will lose ground at the moment. Hails from Steamboat Springs. Seventh in Lubno in Slovenia this season. Not only her best this season, but her best ever result. But 96.5 meters. So real challenge. And now Finland. She was smiling all over the place, this youngster, only 19 years of age, Julia Ikea. Had her first World Cup starts this season in Lubno, so she's a real newcomer, but she did really well in Lubno. She got her first ever Women's Winter World Cup points. Quite an occasion for her. Can she get over 100 meters? No. Two-footed landing, baptism of fire really for her.
Schwierige Verhältnisse, ein wenig spät die Weite für sie jetzt hier.
Unfortunately, this will put the Finns into the danger zone, because 70 meters, it actually means a loss of points of -48 in terms of distance.
Weiter geht's mit Norwegen und dann auch schon wieder mit unserer Hoffnung aus Deutschland, der Selina Freitag. Also auf geht's. Helja Norge, wieder Westfalen.
The good news on the positive side is that the Finns are actually building a new generation. That's the encouraging sign. Now, Gina Vestfold Hansen, so dominant in women's Nordic combined, switching to special jumping. The women's Nordic combined, a subject of some controversy because they're not included in the Olympic program. And in fact, I believe the women in Seefeld, who are about to get underway with the Seefeld treble, this wonderful annual Nordic combined competition, about to demonstrate their solidarity and determination to get back or get into the Olympic program. And Norway languishing at the moment, so this 23-year-old really needs to show what she can do. 11th in Garmisch-Partenkirchen as part of the Two Hills competition, her best ever in Women's World Cup. That's a really good step forward in the right direction. 13 top 10s this season shows the sort of progress she's made. But this is a different game to Nordic combined. Gida, who was the first ever world champion in women's Nordic combined, and the first gold medalist in the inaugural Women's Nordic Combined World Championships. Not too bad. Everything's relevant here. Well, you have to put this into context, 112 meters, but then Finland only 70, America 96.5, France 101.5, and Italy 110. So it moves Norway up a little bit. And next to go, Selina Freitag for Germany. Difficult to believe that Selina is still looking for that elusive first World Cup victory. She's knocked on the door so many times. That's more like it. There's the quality. And that's the best flight of the day. 132 meters for this excellent 24-year-old. Runner-up in Garmisch, third in Zhao, in Jan-Liakov, in Lubno, in Villach, in Oberstdorf, all this season. Last season, twice runner-up in Lahti, twice runner-up in Hinsenbach, twice runner-up in Lubno, Sapporo and Lillehammer. She's been so close. 11 times she's been a runner-up in Women's World Cup. And that is... And Germany go to the top of the table. Lisa Eder for Austria announced herself this season as a World Cup winner. Unlike Selina, she actually has gone through and achieved that elusive dream to become a World Cup winner, as Stefan Kraft watches on. Lisa, 24 years of age, from the Surfelden Ski Club, hails from Leogang, coached by Harold Rodlauer, who's looked after the Austrian women for quite a few seasons. Her victory came in Japan, in Zhao. Her first and second there. 2 runners-up spots in Lubno, 2 runners-up spots in Villach, third in Klingenthal. She's been mighty consistent. Lying in 5th place in the overall World Cup women's rankings at the moment. Lisa Eder. Just having to be patient here, but she can really have a solid effect on this competition. Austria at the end of the last leg, lying in 4th place, 8 meters down. They were 5 meters down on Germany. So just putting this into context, Selina Freitag 132 meters, and they're saying in the conditions, or at least the computer is 136, 137 meters to go into 1st place. That's a bit of a tall order. But Lisa Eder, in the form of her life, well, the front wind really evaporated there in strength. There was a real decrease in strength there towards the bottom of the hill, less than a meter per second. Quite a difference. And that's a big disappointment and a big setback for the Austrians. Only 104.5 meters. Germany will stay handsomely ahead of Austria. In fact, the difference between the two countries, 34 meters in Germany's favor. So that's beginning to become significant. But now stand by for the woman who has absolutely ruled the roost. Nika Preutz, the World Cup leader, who has been victorious in her career now in 18 different venues. Willingen is not one of them, but she's hoping this weekend that this is going to be where she breaks through and is successful. The World Cup champion of the last 2 seasons, Brother Doman looking on. The Preutz dynasty has been to the fore. 20 years of age, Nika. And just so successful. The double in Sapporo, most recently, she never won there, but she did the weekend double, the double in China in Zhangjiakou, the double in Lubno, that was fantastic on Slovenian snow, the double in Villach, Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Engelberg, Klingenthal, Avispa, Falun, all winning venues. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 successes for Nika Preutz. So Nika waiting patiently now. 119 meters in the training round. That was from gate number 10. Really nice to see brother and sister united here, or reunited. Slovenia, who were ahead by 3 meters, ahead of Germany at the end of the last leg. Selina Freitag, 132.5 meters, so Nika challenging to get Slovenia back into the lead. That's not even 120 meters.
Und damit ist sie natürlich überhaupt nicht zufrieden, da bleibt sie weit hinter ihren Leistungen. Das ist real 114,5 Meter, 114.5 meters.
Advantage Germany.
20-jährige Slowenien. Eine sitzt nach oben für Japan, das ist Nozomi Maruyama mit der Startnummer 9 hier in der dritten Gruppe. Und wir schauen uns mal, wo sich Slowenien jetzt am Ende einreihen wird. Das ist Rang 2.
So Slovenia slipped from first place to some 13-14 meters behind Germany, but now the Japanese fans getting excited here. 27-year-old Nozomi Maruyama, who really has come of age this season. Victories in Zhao, before Christmas in Engelberg, excuse me, in Klingenthal. Could make a difference here for the Japanese. Well, it's fair but not fantastic, and it needed to be fantastic. 20 points coming off for the front wind deduction, but it is some 10 meters further than the Slovenians, so in one sense that helps the Japanese a little bit, but they are clawing their way back, so to speak. So up into third place, but it is Germany leading from Slovenia, Japan in third place, but the gap's beginning to open up now. That 24.4 points equates to, well, let's call it 14 meters. Japan would be 15 meters back. Austria in fourth place with some 34 meters to make. And then France, 43 meters. USA, 40, just doing the maths here. Yeah, about the same as the French. So nothing between those two in fifth and sixth. Norway, 45 meters. Then Italy, and then Finland. So Finland are in the danger zone of being eliminated. And there's 10 meters between Italy and Finland, so that's the crucial difference. There are 9 nations, only 8 will go through to the second round. And it's Italy who are up first now with Alex Insam. Start gate number 8 here. Well, as I said, sadly, it's been disappointing to report that the Italians have struggled, but this 28-year-old, it would be wonderful if he could find some real form now. lives in a lovely part of the world in Selva di Val Gardena, just down the road from the famous downhill. Now, this is the important part here. Well, it will be when the Finns take their turns. Just to keep in your mind here, 126 meters here for Alex Insam. And the Italians are 10 meters ahead of the Finns. So it really puts a lot of pressure on Nico Kitasaho of Finland to keep the Finns alive in the competition. Valentin Foubert now for France. The French number one. So Valentin, 23 years of age, a very good 4th place in Klingenthal in Germany, 5th place in Rucker, twice 10th in Viessmann. His top 10 performances so far this season. Has competed here before in Willingen, was just outside the top 20 here. That was a couple of seasons ago. Valentin. From the Club des Sports Courchevel.
It was just 1 minute.
Okay.
Just 1 minute.
We can continue. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. No worries.
Now, I'm very sorry for this.
No, it's fine. Thank you, guys. Sorry.
Wind just easing a little bit, but turning at the same time. But as soon as I say that, suddenly I see another gust of 4 meters. Or it is, though, considerably lower in strength as you get further down the hill. But there is a deal of luck involved here. So Valentin Foubert waiting patiently. Jason Colby of the United States will follow, then Nico Kitasaho, Chris Sundal and Philip Raimund for Norway and Germany, Stefan Kraft, the anchorman for Austria, Doman Preutz, and then Ryoyo Kobayashi. Foubert from gate number 8.
Der Körpersprache nach zu urteilen, wahrscheinlich nicht. Also seine Hände, die gingen runter, 87,2 die Anlaufgeschwindigkeit.
Well, 118 meters, that's 8 meters short of the Italians. What's interesting is that the French were actually only 8 meters ahead of the Italians, approximately, at the end of the last leg. So things are beginning to tighten up here. This will be quite interesting. 3rd place, France. And the difference between Italy and France, but this is the last leg, is that Italy are ahead of the French. And that is really significant now because France are now in the danger position. Finland still to come. Next man up is this really exciting 19-year-old American, Jason Colby. Jason from Steamboat Springs, another youngster from that factory of ski jumpers and particularly Nordic Combiners, high-altitude Steamboat Springs. 9th in the Junior World Championships last year, but this year, coming of age in Engelberg just before Christmas, 9th there. Followed up with another top 10 result in Innsbruck. with a 9th place finish. Really encouraging. He is the best performer of all the Americans. Interestingly, that the Americans, they've nominated already Kevin Bickner, Tate France, Jason Colby for the Olympic Games, with Paige Jones, Josie Johnson and Annika Belshaw. Well, you can see the dilemma for the jury there, the wind in every which way. The United States in a similar situation to France. They were only 7-8 meters ahead of the Italians. So Alex Insam's 126 meters is beginning to look quite influential at the moment. I think it would be really encouraging for the Italians if they can make the cut and get into the final round. No chance for the second at the moment. Just to bring you up to date with the weekend, the men's competition tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock local time here in Willingen for the first competition round, the same time on Sunday for the second competition. The women's events before that, and Nina Lucy would love to have your company for those two women's competitions. Green light on for Jason. The wind relatively quiet as I've seen it. Well, that was really, really difficult. I feel really sorry for him because I think those were just about the most difficult conditions. The wind deduction is 8.7, which is about 4 to 5 meters. And Jason Colby, 85 meters. And suddenly the Americans are in jeopardy. Italy ahead of France and ahead of the United States. And next up, it's Nico Kitasaho of Finland to try and keep the Finns alive. And remember, Finland were in last place, 10 meters behind Italy. And the difference, 17, 18 meters down on the French and the United States. So if he can get the meters here, he could keep Finland alive. Nico Kitasaho. Well, interesting to see how they mark this, whether they give him the telemark or not. 16.5, 17.5, 126.5 meters. That's up there with the Italians. And Nico Kitasaho doing what is required to keep Finland alive in the competition. Italy, France, Finland, and Finland are ahead of the United States. And it's the United States who are in jeopardy now. Chris Sundal for Norway. Norway, Chris Sundal needs to get a result for them. They were not very well placed. 7th at the end of the last leg, so they really need the meters here. All of these teams that we're seeing now in jeopardy of being eliminated. And within Sam at 126 meters for Italy, Nico Kitasaho at 126.5 for Finland. Chris Sundal really needs to get a result here on the podium individually in 2024 here in Willingen. His best ever result individually. That's like it, and Norway are safe. The meters are there. The deduction is small, and Sundal, that's a decent contribution. He's only going to get a deduction of, oh, well, they've just corrected it. It looked like 4 points. It's in fact 11 points, so it's only 5 meters, 6 meters deduction. So Norway up into second place now, behind Germany, who of course have yet to take their turn. So Norway effectively leading the competition, but now everybody getting excited. Philipp Raimund for Germany. 25 years of age, 5 podiums in his career, 12 top 10s this season. Never better than 9th here individually in the times that he's come to Willingen. The pressure really on at the moment. Raimund, member of the Oberstdorf Ski Club. This season, he did have a second place finish in 2024 in Lake Placid, but no podiums last year. But this year, runner-up in Viessmann, third in Klingenthal, and also in Falun. And overall, he's done pretty well, 12 top 10s. Coached, of course, by Stefan Horngacher. And we talked a little bit about Kenta Sakurama and Stefan Horngacher in his last season as the head coach for Germany, 56 years of age. And quite an achiever in his career as a ski jumper, and never won the overall World Cup, but he was 4th in the season-long ranking back in 1991. He had a couple of individual World Cup victories and got quite a few team medals for Germany. In the Olympics in Nagano in 1998, a bronze medal. Before that, in Lillehammer in 1994, he got a bronze medal at the Olympics then, and in the World Championships, a gold medal with the German team in 1991. But Stefan Horngacher is a wonderful coach, and they have a knack, the Germans, on championship days of finding their way to the medal podium, even when the results in the World Cup season haven't been all that they would wish for. Philipp Raimund and Felix Hoffmann have been their 2 flag flyers in the men's division. Those 2 selected for the German Olympic team, along with Piers Paschke and Andy Wellinger. So Germany, who at the end of the last leg, a 14-meter advantage over Slovenia, 15 over Japan. And Philipp Raimund to be followed by Stefan Kraft, to be followed by Domen Preus, to be followed by Ryoyo Kobayashi. So this promises to be a really fascinating completion of the first leg, and then hopefully we'll get a second leg, but the wind conditions are not easy. And of course, we're eating up the time at the moment. I just wonder if Germany are leading at the end of this leg, whether they'll call it a day. That would be really unfair, but you just never know. Wow, this is really frustrating, very difficult. I must say the crowd have been fantastic. They're bouncing around and really enjoying themselves. Not the best weather, but nonetheless, they really seem to be having a good time. As I said, Willingen's known for its party atmosphere, and when you come to the Four Hills, you sense that as well. But there's something different here about the way that everybody really celebrates. So just to tell you at the moment, Norway are ahead, but Germany are still overall in the lead. Incredibly, the Germans with their man Philipp Raimond sitting there, they have 233.4 points. Norway, who've taken their last man, 232 points. So there's a big difference. Gate 8. So you can see the deduction there having come down with the front wind. And of course that deduction is added to the front wind deduction, which at the moment would suggest a sort of 20-point deduction for this man. But at the moment things are really going a little bit crazy, as you can see. And the longer this goes on, the more likely we are that this could be a one-round competition. Things do tend to settle a little in the evening, but time marches on, as they say. And the men and the women have got a busy program. The men who will qualify tomorrow and have their 2 rounds of competition. The women also obviously involved. Fingers crossed that this wind behaves itself a little better.
1-4 jumper.
Well, we're an hour and 20 minutes into this first round, which just gives you an idea of how tricky and how difficult this has been, and still is. And far from settling, the wind actually now, at this moment in time, has become even more difficult than we saw an hour ago. And the only thing you can do at this moment in time is just be patient. I don't think it's a matter of changing gates. It's a question of keeping warm, being patient. And just another heads up for you is that on FIS TV, not this weekend, but the weekend following, we'll be bringing you the Continental Cup competitions from Kran in Slovenia. And you'll be able to watch those live as well. So look forward to your company for those. That's both men and women. Well, this is a real test now. As I said, it's not the coldest of afternoons, but the problem is that the wind chill here really is effective, and you come out and you're getting ready, and then suddenly you find yourself hanging around. Even for seasoned campaigners like these boys, Philipp Raimund and Stefan Kraft and Domen Preutz, it's far from ideal. So they have changed the gate. Now, of course, going up there, you can see 21.9 points. And 21.9 points, that equates to something like 12 meters lost in distance. So it'd be really interesting to watch the in-run speed here. Philip's patience really being tested. Things settling a little bit. Or is that the commentator's curse? Because as soon as I say that, you can see the gusts increasing, but this is incredibly challenging. You can see here, only 82 meters, the green light is on. Only 82 meters to keep Germany ahead of Norway, but still Austria, Slovenia and Japan to come. Philipp Raimund looked really good. The takeoff coming off the table looked okay. ...121 meters. And a deduction of, well, add the front wind to the gate, 31 points. That's like losing 17 meters. But it's good enough to keep Germany well ahead of Norway. They're going to be over 30 meters ahead of the Norwegians, but this is where it becomes interesting now. Germany to be taken on by Stefan Kraft of Austria. Now, there were 34 meters between Germany and Austria. So can Stefan Kraft bite into that deficit? That's how to do it. That's over 130 meters, and that's Austria making inroads into the German advantage. It's terrific in distance. It's very good in style. There is that big gate and front wind deduction. However, this is Stefan Kraft showing how to anchor a team. Holds that together really well. That's going to be just about the best star marks we've seen. A little bit hairy, says Stefan. But Austria up into second place, and they've cut the deficit by 10 meters thanks to Stefan Kraft. And now Domen Preutz, well, 148 meters in the second of the training jumps. If he produces that, well, Slovenia could well be going back into the lead. This is possible. Domen Preutz Four Hills champion, ski flying champion of the world, not 130 meters, but not that far away. 128 and a half. Kraft was better, but the wind deduction, only 2 points. And that is really significant. So they're only going to lose about 23 points, the Slovenians, through Dome and Preutz, and that is going to make a big, big difference. Slovenia, who were 14 meters behind Germany. Raimund 121 meters. Dome and Preutz 128 and a half. And Slovenia back into the lead. Into the lead by, would you believe it, 30 centimeters. And Japan to come now. Japan, who were 15 meters behind Germany. So we've just seen Dome and Preutz do 128 and a half meters. And it's no less a man than Ryoyo Kobayashi to take the last flight in this first round. Ryoyo Kobayashi, individually champion of Willingen in 1919 and 2022. This 29-year-old superstar for the Japanese team. And the target, you can see 126, 127. A lot depends on the strength of the wind at the time that he leaves the table here. But once again, the wind is really fickle, really changing around, really difficult. And this is where the jury have to be patient and make sure that he has every opportunity, not only for a fair flight, but a safe one. Ryoyo on his way. Japan third at the end of the last leg. Over 130 meters required. Good effort, but it's not enough to give Japan the lead. Matches up Dome and Preutz's distance. And also he's up there with the likes of Philipp Raimund, 7 meters better. But the front wind deduction, 16 points. Dome and Preutz had only a 2-point deduction. And in there lies the difference. In terms of the competition, well, the best performance, certainly for the men, I would say Stefan Kraft, 133 meters. So Slovenia prevail. Germany second, Japan are third. And the difference between the three teams, well, 30 centimeters, the difference between Slovenia and Germany, and 10 meters further back from Slovenia are Japan. Then Austria, and you can see there the United States in 9th place, and they are the team who are eliminated at the halfway stage. Austria are 24 meters back, and Norway 35 off the pace. Italy and France. Italy 43 and France 47 meters, their deficit. And Finland make the cut, but they are 57 meters back. And that tells you that this competition is over. It's been decided by one round. It's taken us a long time to get through this first round. And Slovenia win yet another team competition. And Domen Preelt's final jump making all the difference here. Disappointing for the fans, disappointing for us that we couldn't get 2 rounds of jumping into the competition, but the wind has been really challenging. And I think it's a wise decision.
We were really fighting 1 hour 40 minutes to send 36 athletes down. Based on the external conditions and having more and more crosswind, especially after takeoff, which is sometimes quite dangerous for the athletes, the jury decision was to cancel the final round, okay?
Yeah, thank you for the work today. You did a fantastic job, and thanks also to the jury.
Thank you, Sandro.
Well, there is the official decision that this competition curtailed and only 1 round of jumping possible today. So a little disappointment, and it is disappointing that the weather has really been as challenging, and all we can hope for is that things will be a little calmer and a little kinder tomorrow. You just sense we might get a little bit of snow early tomorrow, but I don't think it'll be a huge amount. Yeah, that much. That's the difference at the end of it all between Slovenia and Germany. 30 centimeters. Well, I have to say, hats off to all the athletes for taking on today's conditions. They've not been easy, and some have had more fortune than others. And already the hill workers out there getting the hill ready for tomorrow's individual competitions for men and women. So let me bring you up to date with the plan for the weekend. The women's competition tomorrow, 31st of January, the last day of the month. And the women's competition underway at 1:15 Central European time. Nina, Lucy would love to have your company from 1 o'clock to bring you up to date. Nika Preelt's looking for another victory and possibly a record-breaking success here in Willingen, because it means that she will have succeeded at more World Cup venues in the Women's World Cup than any other athlete before her. I think that will be number 19. And then the men's competition at 4 o'clock. The women's competition on Sunday, again, 1:15 Central European time for the beginning of the first round. 1 o'clock for the build-up. And the men's competition, once again, at 4 o'clock. in the afternoon. And these, of course, the last competitions before the Winter Olympics in Milan, well, last World Cup competitions, I should say, before the Olympics in Predazzo. Predazzo, really interesting. The hills there, of course, were a little late in construction. They were delayed, and they were used for the Summer Grand Prix. But those conditions, in terms of air temperature, pressure, everything very different to what you experience in the winter. And it could be that the Winter Olympics are going to throw up a few surprises. Worth just reflecting on winding the clock back to the competitions in Predazzo. We've got a couple of minutes before the presentations are made here. And the normal hill in Predazzo saw the Austrian successful Jan Hurl ahead of Daniel Stefanik with Ryoyo Kobayashi, who is the Olympic champion on the normal hill, of course, from Beijing, winning that competition. In the women's event, Abigail Strait from Nika Preutz from Yuka Seto. And then we move to the big hill. And on the big hill, Anna Ström of Norway ahead of Yuka Seto with Nozomi Maruyama. Japan very strong there. And on the men's big hill competition, it was a really good performance by Ryoyo Kobayashi ahead of Manu Fetner and Philip Raimund in third place. With the super team large hill competition, Poland, Kamil Stoch and Dawid Kubacki defeating Japan. Rednik Ido and Ryoyo Kobayashi and Domen Preutz and Andrzej Lanasek in third place. I don't think that's exactly going to be the same, that's for sure. I think Japan, it's not just because of the Ski Flying World Championship, it's because of their consistent performances. I think they're a team to watch out for in the men's large hill team competition as well as the mixed team. There you get a really nice feeling for Willingen. You can see the outrun. You can get really close to the action here in Willingen. And it's a massive arena. So the technical checks taking place at the moment. And also just to mention again the Continental Cup. Tomorrow the Intercontinental Cup in Lillehammer gets underway. And we'll be bringing you that competition. Now the women's competition starts pretty early, I think. I'm just checking now on the time. I think it was 9:30, but I'm just going to check on that. In fact, the first round is at 10:30 local time for the Lillehammer competition. Yeah, first round at 10:30. The men's continental competition is later on in the day at 3:30 in the afternoon. I'll be focusing on the Willingen competition at that particular time. Well, Willingen, I expect it to be absolutely packed to capacity come tomorrow and Sunday as people continue to pour into the Sauerland for this annual pilgrimage as it is here. And there in the background you can see the music stage, and that's what I mean by it being a real party here. And it goes on into the evening, into the early hours. Well, are we going to have the red carpet or not? I wonder. Well, it does take a bit longer to complete the technical checks. Obviously, there are 12 to check in terms of the podium positions. And of course, after the Olympics, so much to look forward to. The end of the World Cup season, including ski flying and Kulm. And of course, Planica, where the women will be competing for the first time. There's Raw Air in Norway. Visit to Lahti, and a lot to enjoy. And over this weekend, of course, is the famous Seefeld Triple in Austria and Nordic Combined. Congratulations to Alexa Brabeck, getting her first World Cup victory on the opening day of the Seefeld competition, finishing ahead of Emma Volavsek of Slovenia and Ida Marie Haugen of Norway. And yet again, congratulations in the men's division. Johannes Lamperter delighted the home crowd in Seefeld, coming home ahead of teammate Stefan Rettenegger, with Andreas Skoglund of Norway on the podium in third place. World Cup standings in the women's division of Nordic Combined. Ida Marie Haugen of Norway ahead of Alexa Brabeck of the United States, with Minja Korhonen in third place in the men's World Cup standings. Johannes Lamperter strengthening his grip on the title race there ahead of Germany's Julian Schmidt, with Jens Loris Öftebrö in third place ahead of Austria's Thomas Rettenegger, and then Einar Loris Öftebrö, the year older brother, in fifth place. But Johannes Lamperter with a 215-point advantage over his nearest pursuer, just 5 events to go, and of course we're in the Seefeld treble weekend, so things looking really good for Johannes. Well, I wonder whether we're going to get a few words from the winners. Double Preutz, there's Robert Togota sitting down there next to Timmy Zeitz. A close run thing, 30 centimeters the difference. So really nice for Domen Preutz and Nikas Preutz, who will be on the top step of the podium together. The two who've dominated their respective World Cup competitions. And it looks as if we're nearly ready for the official presentation. Well, hopefully nothing untoward. Haven't seen anything that suggests that anything is problematic. Not quite sure exactly what the delay is at the moment. We've seen the Slovenian team who look as if they're all clear. Ryoyo Kobayashi obviously enjoying the music and the atmosphere. This is the sort of real camaraderie of the sport. You can see here the interaction amongst the teams. In terms of the Nations Cup, Austria still ahead of Slovenia by some 900 points. Japan in third place. So Andy Vidhursel still with a real chance of collecting that very special crystal globe. Again, one of the very special coaches. Andy Vidhursel, remarkable athlete and a remarkable coach, coming up to his 50th birthday, Four Hills champion back in 2000, runner-up in the World Cup in the same season, 18 times an individual World Cup winner, Andy Vidhursel, including 2 victories here in Willingen in 2000, Olympic gold medal with the Austrian team in Torino in 2006, and 2 team World Championship gold medals as well, and 2 ski flying silvers. These coaches are really amazing, but it shows you the difference. Someone like Kento Sukuyama, who didn't have all those accolades, but has come through to really fashion a fantastic and competitive Japanese team. So finally, we're on the move. Japan missing out by just under 10 meters.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the winners ceremony for the mixed team competition, der Mixed Team Weltcup hier in Willingen. Und dazu hören wir die FIS-Fanfare. Now we listen to the anthem of the FIS. Auf Platz 3 mit 277,8 Punkten. Das Team aus Japan, Team Japan.
So Sara Takanashi, Ren Nikaido, Nozomi Maruyama and Ryoyo Kobayashi in third place.
Und Ryoyo Kobayashi. Auf Platz 2 mit
Germany, the runners-up, Agnes Reich, Karl Geiger, Selina Freitag and Philipp Raimund.
Karl Geiger, Selina Freitag und Philipp Raimund.
And the winners, Slovenia, Nika Boden, Timmy Zeitz, Nika Preutz and Domen Preutz.
Und Domen Brioche. So, wenn alle auf den Plätzchen sind, kommen wir zur Vergabe der Pokale. Für den ersten Platz, für die Winner übergibt den Preis Jörg Fechtner, der DSV-Präsident.
Well, a lot of prizes to be given out here, a lot of mementos, but really nice. Willingen always produces some nice mementos.
Unser Kultusminister aus Hessen, Armin Schwarz.
Excuse me.
Ja, natürlich.
Und die Pokale für den dritten Platz übergibt unser Bürgermeister aus Willingen, Thomas Trachte.
Well, the big stories will surely come over the weekend. The Willingen competitions, the last before the Olympics, as it was in 1922, before the Beijing Olympic Games. Back then, Ryoyo Kobayashi and Marius Lindvig each won individual events, and Slovenia won the mixed team event. And at the Olympic Games, Ryoyo Kobayashi and Marius Lindvig went on to win in individual goals. But to recognise Slovenia's success this afternoon, the national anthem of their country.
Für die Sieger, für die besten Teams am heutigen Tag. Platz 3, Japan. Auf Platz 2, Deutschland. Und die Sieger, die ersten Sieger an diesem Wochenende hier in Willingen, das Team aus Slowenien.
So not the perfect competition, but still very tight in the end. I hope you enjoyed this, and your patience much appreciated to be with us on this afternoon. Tomorrow, of course, the women's individual and the men's individual big hill competitions here. Fingers crossed that the wind will be a little kinder to us and that we can see some really long flights here really possible to get up to 150 meters. From FIS TV and myself, David Goldstrom, thank you again for your company. We look forward to joining us over the weekend. Just a reminder that we're also bringing you the Continental and Intercontinental Cup competitions from Lillehammer tomorrow. And if you can join us for those, well, the women at 10:30 Central European time for the first of their competition rounds. For now, though, from Willingen in the Sauerland in Germany, bye-bye.
Da steht noch einer.